I was going to write everything I was going to say tonight, but fortunately for all of you, I didn't do that. But I hear people talking about vision, how we need to have vision for the downtown. And I think it's really important that we take a look at what's happening now instead of looking at the future, because that's really what vision is going to entail. If you look at our city plan of conservation and development, in section 10.2.2, under housing design, it's stated encourage, which means spend money on or throw taxpayer money at, the appropriate design of housing in order to meet community needs for the future. In section 10.2.3, it says housing diversity. It's stated, encourage the provision of any diverse array of attractive, decent, safe, and sanitary housing to meet the social and economic needs of Bristol's current and future population. In 10.3.3, it states, encourage the diversification of the local housing stock in appropriate locations such as services and/or near transit to meet the changing housing needs of future residents. Section 2, to help address current and future housing needs, consider permitting multifamily development of appropriate density. I don't know what appropriate means to you all, but it means something entirely different to the residents of Bristol than it does to the state or any particular developers that think they can get free state money to build something that taxpayers don't want in our downtown. Number 3, strive to encourage the provision of affordable housing. Of course, they say it's for the elderly, but we all know it's cheaper for the elderly to move out than it is to stay in the state of Connecticut, whether it's in Bristol or not. April 25th in the Bristol Press, it said that the number of children getting reduced lunches has risen over the past 5 years from 40 to 47%. May 7th, you can see the number of business closures in Connecticut jumped 34% in the first quarter. But we are advocates of these policies, which are failure policies that the state likes to subsidize, failure policies that are based upon ideologies and not upon the free market, and we're basically swimming against the free market over here. Look at the POCD. Bristol has more affordable housing than any of the local communities in the area. Why do we need to build more affordable housing? Well, apparently it's got to have to do more with the state plans, which appear in our POCD. Even though the closest thing you can come to finding anybody supporting the Depot Square plan in the POCD is question number 13, which says, what would you like the city to do to improve downtown Bristol? And 8.6% said utilize the space or develop it over here. But if you ask them about Depot Square or Renaissance, you get less than 3%. But Connecticut state statutes say 8-23 pertaining to municipal plans of conservation development, which, by the way, is supposed to be a statement of policies, goals, and standards for the physical and economic development of the municipality, not just housing. But housing is mentioned, I think, 121 times in the POCD, and jobs, I think, about 7. Don't quote me on that. I didn't bring those numbers with me, but it's some astronomical proportion like that. But it does say, make provision for the development of housing opportunities, including opportunities for multifamily dwellings around infrastructure for residents of the municipality, and promote housing choice and economic diversity in housing, including housing for low and moderate income households, and encourage the development of housing which meets the needs of the future. So, is your vision in the future, or is your vision today? Please consider that before you make your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last month I asked you, you've been coming here for a year, maybe more.
Too big to fail, I didn't miss that part.
And I asked you, exactly what you were looking for. And thank you for being very determined. I got another question for you. You mentioned real early here about having a vision, creating a vision. What would you do?
What would I do?
In downtown with Depot?
I would recognize the free market. So if free market investors didn't want to come in, I wouldn't make the taxpayers pay for it. And if if I was going to ask for taxpayer money, I would put it on the ballot. That's what I would do. And if it means downsizing the downtown and focusing our growth where there is free market growth, where people want to... I mean, this POCD says discourage development in other areas besides this. Do you really want to discourage any development in Bristol? I mean, this goes beyond Renaissance. This is our plan, you know?
So leaving it up to the free market is basically whatever the zoning regulations allow a developer to do within those regulations. You're saying just let them do it.
No, I'm not saying to, well, you can change the zoning regulations and allow high-density housing so that you can get state subsidies. When I talk about public money, I'm not just talking about Bristol money, I'm talking about state and federal money. So,
have you been participating with the master plan and development? Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there almost everyone.
June is the final hearing, correct?
The first public workshop, there was only about 5 members of the public. There were developers and stakeholders for the plan that don't even live in the city that came and participated, and their input is in the plan, which I find wrong. I don't know how else to say that. It's wrong. You know, they have a say in development, but they shouldn't be involved in our plan of conservation development. You know?
What's the date of that public hearing?
Public hearing for the POCD is the 3rd of June. I believe 6:30. 7.
Okay.
You know, my other concern, Henry, and I didn't get to finish it, Senator, but it was basically, I'm afraid that this plan is going to be considered too big to fail. People are going to think that, oh, well, it just needs a little bit more money, and you start out with phase 1 like that, and then before you know it, you're St. Bernardino, or there's been a number of municipalities that they continue to throw money at, you know, you want to build parking garages before we have a demand for it. That's how you get taxpayers into trouble.